Hi, my name is Aishi, and today we'll be talking about apoptosis. What is apoptosis? Well, apoptosis is programmed cell death. It's the cell committing suicide. And this is actually a pretty graceful way for the cell to die because what happens in apoptosis is you'll have this blebbing that will occur. So here are some blebs. And what will happen is enzymes will go and cut up the DNA molecule into small pieces, and the organelles will be located in these blebs. And eventually, the blebs will separate into apoptotic bodies, and other cells will come and eat up the remnants of the apoptotic cell. But at this time, the organelles are still functional within these apoptotic bodies. Now, this is very different from necrosis, where the cell sort of dies prematurely. See, apoptosis is planned. It's the cell saying, "Hey, I'm gonna kill myself." And in multicellular organisms, the cell is often killing itself in order to benefit the good of other cells in the organism. It's sort of sacrificing itself for the greater good. And in apoptosis, the separation of the organelles and the separation of the cell into parts prevents the insides of the cell from spilling out into the environment, right? Because you don't want cell guts everywhere floating around. That's bad for other cells because other cells can detect this, and that might cause other cells to die. However, in necrosis, what happens is you also get this blebbing situation, but the organelles don't go into these blebs, and you don't get apoptotic bodies either. Instead, the cell membrane sort of just breaks. It opens up, and the cell guts sort of spill everywhere into the environment, and that is bad for other cells. So we've covered that apoptosis is programmed cell death, and apoptosis will often occur when the cell is exposed to some stressor, like oxidative stress or heat stress or ER stress, and it realizes that it's in a really bad condition and it should probably kill itself before some other factor kills it, and its death would lead to some damage to other cells. Now, apoptosis also occurs a lot when the organism is undergoing some major change. For example, during metamorphosis, when a worm becomes a butterfly, you'll have a lot of apoptosis happening because the majority of the worm has to die in order for a butterfly to emerge. You're killing most of the cells in the worm, and only some of the cells will divide and specialize and become that butterfly. Now, apoptosis is also key in the embryonic stage of an organism's development for the same reasons, because in the embryonic stage, so much change is occurring. And that brings us to our topic right now, apoptosis in C. elegans. What is C. elegans? C. elegans is a nematode. It is this little worm, and it only has about 1,000 or so cells. But what's awesome about C. elegans is that scientists are able to pinpoint exactly where each of the 1,000 cells came from. So it knows exactly how many times apoptosis has happened, when each apoptotic event will happen, and what events bring about the end placement of the cells.